This is Julia James Davis, and welcome to The War on Beauty. The Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. These iconic landmarks were originally designed as temporary spaces and structures for the World's Fair. Yet they endured, standing as testaments to a bygone era where first world nations aspired to achievement and excellence. But now these structures remain as constant reminders of just how far we've fallen. Once symbols of progress and ingenuity, they now contrast starkly to our rapidly deteriorating contemporary infrastructure, which often fails in decades due to inferior materials and construction methods. But more importantly, there is an attitude that has developed, this throwaway mentality that has taken over where we're no longer striving for excellence like we once were. And it's so amazing to me that these incredible buildings, now so integral to their cityscapes, were never intended to last. And their longevity underscores the superior quality of craftsmanship back then, and also too the very ambitious visions of the men and the countries that built them. But really what makes these World's Fair buildings so awe-inspiring, even the ones that no longer remain, is that they were so beautiful. Despite their temporary nature, they were created with the finest detail and flourish. Take, for example, the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, which was created as part of the legendary Chicago World's Fair in 1893. The entire fair complex is an architectural masterpiece, and it was constructed in just 2 years. And it remains one of the most astounding feats of architectural achievement ever. But the World's Fair itself was more than just about buildings. It was a showcase for technological, industrial, and cultural achievements from around the world. The first fair was held in London in 1851 to display examples of the technology of the Industrial Revolution. These fairs occurred roughly every 1 to 5 years, and they were hosted in various cities all over the world, and they drew millions of visitors. Examples of some of the inventions that were debuted at World's Fairs include the telephone, the electric light bulb, the Ferris wheel, the X-ray machine, Heinz ketchup, the typewriter, the dishwasher, elevators, and early automobiles. So these fairs brought groundbreaking technologies and innovation to global audiences, and they educated the public in a really unique and interactive way. They really became a cultural pillar of the 20th century, bringing competition, national pride, and civic uplift through education and beauty. And if we compare that kind of level of achievement to now, that era feels like such a distant memory. The decline of the World's Fair after World War II mirrored the fading spirit of innovation and excellence in the collective West. That's really the date when everything started to go downhill and beauty really started to be completely erased in our movies, in our music, in our architecture, in our media, everywhere. Today, that spirit of excellence and really that American spirit has been replaced by complacency and shame. Now, we no longer have the same huge leaps and bounds in innovation, and the innovation that we do have now, like AI and transhumanism, really feels a lot more dystopian and scary than fun and inspirational. And all of the advancements that have happened recently seem to be at the hands of a select few individual billionaires who are innovating in a way that seems to benefit them while the rest of society is falling into complete decline, suffering under a failing education system where 19% of high school graduates are functionally illiterate, a crippling $37 trillion national debt, mental and physical health crises where 2 in 5 Americans are obese and 1 in 5 US adults are living with mental illness. The cost of living is skyrocketing, jobs are increasingly threatened by AI, and 41% 40% of American adults rely on credit to cover monthly expenses. While the prospect of ever owning a home, really the basis of the American dream, seems ever more out of reach. And the reason this American spirit of excellence and achievement is gone is because it is purposely being crushed. Kids are not aspiring to greatness because we don't have any icons or examples of that in our culture. The new idols are promoting drug use and violence, while school curriculums are teaching that nationalism and being successful are bad. That if you want to make it to the top, that you are taking an opportunity away from someone else. Shame about self and country is literally being bred at every level, in schools, in the workplace, in media. So it's no wonder that this stagnancy has taken over. And as they say, you are either moving forward or you're moving backward. And I think a perfect example of this is Apple. In the 1990s, Apple was so amazing and cutting edge, unveiling all these exciting new products in such a beautiful way. But now every year when there's an iPhone presentation, all that's changed is like the shape of the charger port, or the camera has gotten a quarter of a millimeter bigger. And our physical surroundings really reflect this attitude. We prioritize replacement over preservation and profit over beauty. For example, all of our buildings are crumbling within mere decades and then replaced with modern boxes because they were built so quickly with the lowest quality materials. And you can compare this with buildings from thousands of years ago, like the Pantheon, which remains standing strong. We are really operating on the dark side of innovation, where everything is quick, profit-driven, and treated as a throwaway asset rather than a long-term investment. And so because of this attitude and mentality, we could quite literally never recreate something like the Chicago World's Fair, although back then they had less technology and less resources. It really comes down to the outlook and the spirit of the collective. But there's always hope, and it lies in prioritizing beauty for the purpose of civic uplift and restoring the American spirit. Donald Trump, on day one of his presidency, signed an executive order on promoting beautiful federal civic architecture, and he also recently announced that there will be a great American fair to celebrate America's 250th birthday, which sounds a lot like the old World's Fairs. This executive order was to counteract all of the modernist governmental buildings that started to be built by the General Services Administration after World War II in the Bauhaus style by architects like Walter Gropius and Mies van der Rohe. So this is like a lauded architectural style, but these buildings are honestly some of the worst looking buildings I have ever seen, and they really stick out against the beautiful neoclassical architecture of the iconic Washington, D.C. buildings. And some people might argue that beauty doesn't matter. Why would you sign an executive order on civic beautification when there are real existential problems facing our nation, like an immigration crisis and historic crime? Well, it's because beauty matters actually a lot. Beauty is inextricably linked to truth and goodness, and it can inspire people not only to strive for excellence, but to a deep faith in God. You have to restore dreaming, faith, and hope. It is so crucial if we are going to have a long-term successful country, and also breed the next era of entrepreneurs. As Dostoevsky said, beauty will save the world because it elevates the human spirit and inspires people to great achievement. So I would love to know your thoughts on this. Do you think that we should bring back World's Fairs? Because I personally do, and I also think this American fair for the America's birthday sounds so fun and interesting. I'm gonna have to go to that. I think that we're really on the right track here as a country, and I think it's very encouraging that we have a president that sees and recognizes the eternal transcendental importance of beauty. And it's really so interesting that as our country has experienced some of the worst times, beauty has been so erased and kicked to the curb and actually outright demonized. So I really do think that if we are going to turn it all around, bringing beauty back is such a crucial part of that. Of course, this is what the whole channel of the War on Beauty is about. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye.